Sometimes leaders have to make tough decisions that might be considered unfair to some people, but these decisions might just be necessary to maintain law and order in the society. Recently, Africa's most loved president, Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, made a decision that some have regarded as unfair. They say that this decision is a hallmark of a dictator. But what did Traore do? A few weeks ago, Traore sent a Burkinabe medical doctor to the front lines of the war against terrorism. This decision has been criticized by some as a suppression of free speech. But the question is, why did President Traore decide to send the Burkinabe doctor to the front lines? Let's find out.
The military rule is going on right now. A doctor, a qualified medical doctor, was criticizing the military, the soldiers in the front line, that they are not doing well, that's why terrorists are attacking them, and it seems like the terrorists are winning. He just posted it on his handle. You know what happened? The general invited him to his office. When he came, he gave his officers instruction that they should take him to the front line and give him gun, give him training. In fact, made him give him training so that he could begin fighting the bandits and the criminals. And you know what happened? He was taken from his hospital and they took him to the front line and gave him gun. Right now he's fighting terrorists. They say they want him to witness it firsthand to see how it will be. Now tell me, what kind of regime is this? Just because he talk.
Before we proceed, here is a reminder to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more videos like this. So like the other countries in the Sahel region, Burkina Faso has been battling with insecurity for some years now. Before Traore came into the picture, thousands of lives had been lost and millions had been displaced. Throughout all this time, French soldiers were stationed in the country with their superior military intelligence and equipment. France was supposed to help combat the insecurity. But despite this, the insecurity worsened under France's watch, with more attacks being reported. However, after the coup, Traore came into the picture, vowing to change things. And he has been trying his best to improve the insecurity in the country. He has outfitted the Burkinabe military, bought high-grade equipment, and launched successful military operations against the terrorists terrorizing the country. A lot of people both within and outside Burkina Faso are seeing the hard work that Traore has been doing since he came into power. However, this particular Burkinabe medical doctor felt that Traore was not doing enough to solve the insecurity. The doctor posted his opinion on his social media handle, criticizing the Burkinabe military and the soldiers for not doing enough to combat the insecurity. Despite seeing all that Traore has done and the fact that some soldiers have given their lives to fight against insecurity, this medical doctor decided to criticize the Burkinabe military. In response, President Traore invited the medical doctor to his office and gave directions to his officers to take him to the front line. And truly, the medical doctor was outfitted, given a gun, and sent for training. According to Traore, since he feels that the military is not doing enough, he should lend his expertise in the field. Wow. Now, since the news broke out, some have condemned Traore's decision. They say that his decision is typical of a dictatorial regime where free speech is suppressed. Well, humans are always quick to judge when they are not in the shoes of others. In the short period that Traore has been leading the country, he has made significant improvements in the Burkinabe military. This same military that had to rely on the military equipment of other African countries can now boast of owning numerous high-grade military equipment. This same military that had to depend on France to fight the insecurity can boast of standing by themselves to fight against the jihadists. They can also boast of successful military operations that have led to the recovery of territories formerly in the hands of the jihadists. Instead of criticizing, doesn't it deserve to be praised? Some may see Traore's decision as dictatorial, but in our opinion, anyone who is criticizing the Burkinabe military should be given an option to exercise his expertise on the matter. This is exactly what Traore has given to the Burkinabe doctor. Interestingly, this is not the first time that Traore has done this. A similar thing happened in 2024. You see, some of those Burkinabe politicians who prefer a civilian government so that they can comfortably enjoy power and loot public funds have been demanding elections in Burkina Faso. These politicians say that Traore is using the insecurity in Burkina Faso as a guise not to organize elections. But according to them, the insecurity is not so serious that an election cannot be conducted and the civilian government returned. Guess what Traore did? Traore said, since you think that the insecurity is not so serious and you think I'm trying to hold on to power, why not go to the war front? Yes, you heard right. President Traore put weapons in their hands and sent them to join the military. As expected, Western media has called this action a suppression of free speech. But that's not all. If you can recall, in 2024, Burkina Faso bought an aircraft. In the video we made about this topic, we revealed that it was the first time since independence for Burkina Faso to ever own an aircraft. Imagine that. None of the previous presidents ever thought that it was necessary for the country to own its own national aircraft. And, since independence, Burkina Faso has been renting aircraft from the West to operate their national airline. However, Traore, who believes in the sovereignty of his country, felt that it didn't make sense that a whole country does not possess even one aircraft. So, he decided to buy one, calling it Air Burkina. Interestingly, when he wanted to buy, he bought from China and not the West. Now, the aircraft was brought to Burkina Faso and, of course, it needed to be tested. Instead of calling aeronautics mechanics from outside the country, Traore decided to use local Burkinabe aeronautics engineers to check and test the aircraft. These engineers agreed to test it for a price that was agreed upon by the Burkinabe government. But guess what? The very next day after the agreement had been made, these guys resigned. Why? They said that they wanted more money. Specifically, they said they wanted 3 million CFA franc in addition to what had already been agreed. Isn't that greedy? Anyways, President Traore sent some people to negotiate with these engineers and even offered to add money, although not up to the 3 million CFA franc. But despite all these engineers refused, insisting that the 3 million CFA franc must be paid. Tell me, isn't that the height of greediness? It's even more painful because these people are fellow Burkinabe citizens. They ought to have understood that the country is in a right corner and Traore is trying to manage resources. Besides, as patriotic citizens, shouldn't they be excited to work on the very first aircraft that their country managed to purchase? Well, their greed did not let them do their job, and Traore decided to take action. He said, this is unpatriotic and the government is not going to negotiate anymore, but you are going to do the job regardless. In simple terms, Traore decided to force them to do the job. Now, some people may say that this action of Traore is harsh and it doesn't fit democracy. Well, Traore is a military man and he runs a military government. In our opinion, Traore's action is the best in this situation. You see, sometimes leaders need to take decisive actions that may seem harsh, but overall, it's for the benefit of the country. Some people may not understand this, and that is why they might call Traore a dictator. Another such decision taken by Traore is one that happened in 2024. You see, in a country such as Burkina Faso, which is constantly faced with the threat of insecurity and terrorist attacks, it is very important that all hands, especially those in the military, are on deck to deal with the insecurity. This is why President Traore decided to dismiss 2 top military officers who went missing and abandoned their duties for 6 days. This was not a matter of them taking a day off or sick leave, it was a clear case of dereliction of duty. Interestingly, the 2 officials had very important roles to play in the Burkinabe military, yet they went ahead to abandon their duty. One of the officials was a commander who was responsible for logistics. If you have been following any military operations, you would be aware that logistics is a very key area in any military operations. So, this commander's absence from his duty wasn't only an inconvenience, but it could have disrupted critical supplies and coordination for troops on the front line. Imagine if an attack had happened in one of the Burkinabe remote villages. During the period of his absence, how would the soldiers be able to quickly respond to the crisis? Now, the other official, Commander Bel Mamadi, was charged with leading the Burkinabe ground troops. It is a well-known fact in the military that the ground troops with their leader at the helm are very important in any military operation, especially in the case of Burkina Faso dealing with terrorism. This means that the leader of the ground forces has to be present and never out of sight at any point in time. Yet for 6 days, this commander was not present. The disappearance of these 2 officers from their line of duty is a violation of military protocols and a mark of undisciplinedness. However, instead of just suspending them or giving them a light punishment, Traore decided to dismiss them. To some people, this is a very harsh punishment, but the fact is that this move by Traore is very necessary. You see, it might be harsh, but it would certainly send a message to the rest of the military about the need for discipline, loyalty, and control. Like the other decisions made by Traore, some people also criticize this one, calling it a power grab. What this means is that these people think that Traore dismissed these officials in order to show that he is in charge. He wanted to make an example of them and use the opportunity to strengthen his hold on power. In simple terms, these critics have described Traore as a dictator. But from what we can see and say about Traore, he is clearly not a dictator. The dismissal of the top officials might seem harsh, but let's not forget that Traore's government is a military one. It is not a civilian government where indiscipline is the order of the day. In most African countries that practice so-called democracy, you would agree with me that a lot of things are not working in the various government ministries and departments because the officials are not disciplined and loyal to their jobs. Take a visit to some of the government offices and you will be shocked at how things are done. The government employs civil servants and public servants to work in these ministries and departments, yet some of these workers do not even turn up at work for months. These people are referred to as ghost workers, and yet they receive salaries from the government monthly. This gross indiscipline has led to incompetence and ineffectiveness in most governmental arms. But what is baffling is the fact that the government does not do anything about it. There is no sense of accountability from the government and from the workers. However, for a country to work, everyone, including citizens, must play their part. This is why President Traore had to dismiss those top officials. It is harsh and might seem dictatorial to some people, but the fact is that it is necessary to instill discipline, and it shows that there is accountability in the military. This is why when some military officials in Burkina Faso decided to cause destabilization by orchestrating a coup, Traore did not hesitate to arrest them and put them on trial. The interesting thing is that President Traore wasn't always as tough as this when it comes to dealing with the incompetence and actions of his military officers. You see, when Traore first came to power, he experienced his first assassination and coup attempt. The people who carried out this attack were members of the Burkinabe military, whom Traore knew very well. However, for some reason, he decided not to do anything about it and pardoned them. Traore revealed that he knew the people who launched the attack, but he decided to let them go scot-free and discuss with them. He also revealed that money was distributed to influence certain people to remove him from power, but he told them not to fall for it. It's not exactly clear, but maybe this was part of the reasons why a second coup attack took place. This soldier might have thought that Traore was a weak leader and that it would be easy to bring him down. So, almost a year later, the second coup attack took place, followed immediately by a third one in the same month. However, this time President Traore didn't take the approach he took the first time. He decided to take a stand against those soldiers going against him. Traore didn't let the perpetrators go scot-free. He launched an investigation into the attack and discovered that 3 military soldiers were involved in the plot. They were subsequently arrested and charged with involvement in a military plot, breach of military orders, plotting against state security, criminal association, and endangerment. Although President Traore has experienced 7 more coup attempts, making it a total of 10, his stance as a strong leader has been reinforced with each attempt. The fact is that Africa needs strong leaders like President Traore, who are not afraid to make hard decisions. If the presidents of every African country can follow in the footsteps of President Traore, there is no doubt that African countries would be working better because everyone would be accountable. Since Traore came to power, he has been making hard decisions for the benefit of Burkina Faso. First, he had to reclaim the independence of Burkina Faso by ending the colonial pact made with France. This ensured that France no longer had any right to enforce its military force in Burkina Faso. Following this, Traore kicked the French military out of the country. Honestly, Traore's actions take guts and courage because not many leaders can do so. Previous Burkinabe presidents have been content with the status quo, allowing France to interfere, meddle, and exploit its resources. However, Traore decided to take a new path, one that was free from the influence of France in its affairs. Secondly, At a time when it had become the norm for African countries to only partner with Western countries, Traore did something different. President Traore recognized that Western relations have not benefited Africa over the years. He has even said in some of his speeches about how the West has exploited Africa for its own benefit, leaving the continent in poverty. This is why he made the hard decision to break away from Western relations and develop relations with non-Western relations. Traore has, however, been criticized for his decision and even tagged as a dictator for choosing to partner with non-Western countries such as Russia and North Korea. However, President Traore is a soldier and a man with a vision and has refused to budge from his stance. He remains dedicated to building relations with non-Western countries regardless of what the West says. And other countries including Mali, Niger, Chad, and some other countries have followed suit. Another hard decision that Traore has taken is the decision to suspend Western media from covering news related to Burkina Faso. This decision was taken earlier this month after a controversial discussion was aired on the Western media house, Voice of America, on September 19, 2024. The discussion was centered on the insecurity crisis in Burkina Faso and its neighboring countries. However, speaking on the issue, the Superior Council for Communication (CSC) accused the VOA of undermining the morale of troops both in Burkina Faso and Mali. The council specifically objected to a description of a recent attack in Bamako as courageous and added that VOA's coverage of the security operations was unfairly critical. The CSC announced that all synchronization of national media is suspended until further notice. Now, if you think and analyze deeper on the statement released by the CSC, you would realize that the government of Burkina Faso is well within its rights to suspend them. You see, according to the CSC, the participants on the program described the deadly attack which took place in Mali as courageous. In simple terms, these people described the actions of the JNIM in launching an attack at the capital city of Bamako as courageous. How does that even make any sense? The JNIM insurgent group carried out a deadly attack which led to the death of many and wounded many more. Yet, instead of condemning the act, these people in their discussion had the guts to describe it as courageous. So you can see why President Traore had to make this hard decision. The West, of course, lashed out at Traore regarding this decision, alleging that Traore was suppressing free speech. However, President Traore has remained resolute in his decision to ban Western media for the benefit of his country. Traore's move highlights the kind of leaders that Africa needs. Strong leaders who are ready to make hard decisions for the benefit of their country no matter the cost. Africa deserves better leaders. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and share this video.